Time I will strike the gavel and call this meeting to order. This is a meeting of the Village of Arlington Heights Board of Trustees, and the date is Monday, May 5th, 2025. Just a few very brief final remarks from me before we get to the reason that most of you are here with us on this beautiful evening here in our great community. I think most of you know that Sue and I like to go to the movies on Friday night. And so I'm going to make a couple of movie references in my remarks this evening. First, the last goodbye, the long goodbye. And this has been a long goodbye for me. It's been 10, 11 months or so, and so I really have nobody else to say goodbye to. But I would like to say thanks to all of you for giving me the honor of serving this community for 34 years total and for 12 years as your mayor. It's really been the honor of my lifetime to be able to serve this great community. I would like to particularly thank the members of the team that make Arlington Heights such a great place to live. And I want to particularly thank 5 teammates, team players, that have contributed in so many ways over the course of those 34 years. First, my colleagues, both present and past, on the village board. Second, the staff. Third, our residents. Fourth, our businesses. And fifth, our partners on other local governmental bodies that work together so closely with us. And here's the second movie reference to quote Coach Norman Dale from one of my favorite movies, Hoosiers, about the 1954 Indiana State high school basketball champions from Milan High School. I think of an enrollment of 64, if anyone's seen that movie. But Coach Norman Dale said, it's 5 players on the floor functioning as one single unit. Team, team, team. No one part more important than the other. And that's really what our local government has been over the course of my 34 years as mayor. And I can't thank all of my teammates over the course of those 34 years, and especially the last 12 years as mayor. It's my hope that this new village board will continue that tradition, to work together as teammates collaboratively for the benefit of this community, which I always say is the best place to live, work, and raise a family of any in the Chicagoland area, if not the state of Illinois. And finally, it's my prayer that God will continue to watch over our village government, our elected leaders, that he would grant his protection and provision to this community, and that especially he would grant wisdom and discernment to Mayor Jim Tinaglia, to our new village board trustees, to our current village board trustees, as they make decisions that are in the best interests of this community going forward. So with that, Jim, if you would join me down front and we'll make it official. Got the oath. Mayor-elect.
Yes.
Jim Tinaglia, would you raise your right hand and repeat after me? I, and state your full name,
I, Jim Tinaglia,
having been elected to the office of village president
having been elected to the office of village president
in the village of Arlington Heights,
in the village of Arlington Heights,
in the county of Cook,
in the county of Cook,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office according to the best of my ability.
of the office according to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations, Mayor Jim Tinaglia.
Thanks, Jim. You're going to do a great job.
That's overwhelming. Thank you all so much. I I'm just overwhelmed right now. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through this, but I'm going to do my best. Is this working okay? Can you hear me okay? I have a few people to thank and a few things to share. First of all, 2 weeks ago, we sent off Tom Hayes and Nicole Grassi and Richard Baldino, and we didn't really get a chance to say thank you to them. So tonight, I want to thank, number one, Tom Hayes has been the rock of Arlington Heights for 34 years. He's a dear friend. Richard Baldino is another honorable man with a passion for all things that have to do with our environment, and he's got so much wisdom. I'm going to miss him on this board. I'm sorry that he's not here to work with us any further, but he's a great man. And then lastly, Nicole Grassi, right over there, just a wonderful lady. Nicole and I sat next to each other here for the last 4 years, and we talked about everything from children to very important politics, and she's just really a great woman. So thank you, Nicole. I look forward to working with you. I'll try and go as quickly as I can here. I want to talk a little bit about my history and how I got here and what we're doing and what my hopes and dreams are. I'm just a kid who moved here in 1971 in the middle of 4th grade. And I've talked about this for the last 6 months during the campaign, how crazy it was. I came from a little town called Berwyn, and I remember making up stories that I was going to go to a place where they had grass playgrounds. Because where I was a child, it was asphalt, and our knees were always skinned on the asphalt, and our holes were in our pants. So it came true. Ridge Elementary School, which was right over there on Fernandez, which is now closed. Then I went to Thomas Junior High and ultimately Arlington High School, graduated there in 1980. And unfortunately, that closed shortly thereafter as well. But it was a wonderful story to grow up in this town as a kid and then eventually decide through high school that architecture was my passion. And I went out to Iowa State and got my degree in architecture, graduated there in 1985, came back home. I always knew I wanted to come back here to Arlington Heights. Went to one interview, had one job offer, and it was a little firm called Hundreiser Gutowski right across the street. It is now the Picket Fence Realty Building. That's who that was. My office was up in the little window up in the top up in that bungalow. We did some wonderful projects together for a long time. The very first job I worked on was Dunton Tower. Was brand new in 1985. It was a brand new building. And all the stores on the first floor were vacant, so I helped my boss, Frank Gutowski, put the drawings together for all those stores. North School Park was just getting transferred to the Park District headquarters. That was right happening at the same time. So it was a fun time to be a young man getting started in my career in Arlington Heights. But one fun fact that is kind of interesting right now is that in 1985, I was a bartender. Because the architecture business was paying like $5 an hour. And so I went to work on the weekends as a bartender. And on that Sunday in February, the Bears won the Super Bowl. And that was a fun place to be when the Bears won the Super Bowl. And funny thing is this morning, you may not believe this, but it's true, I had the privilege of meeting and spending time with a very, very interesting man named Kevin Warren. Kevin Warren came here today just to congratulate me on tonight. He couldn't be here tonight, but he is a true gentleman. He and also George McCaskey. And I told him, I said, boy, wouldn't it be wonderful to do that again together sometime soon? So maybe there's a road path to make that happen. I'm crossing my fingers that that's true. Public service, that started with a funny little Christmas party. And I gave our outgoing Mayor Arlene Mulder a hug. And I said, geez, Arlene, I'm so sorry you're retiring so soon because I always thought that when you were done, I would be mayor. And that was 12 years ago. And she laughed and she said, Jim, if you ever want to be a mayor, you need to get on the board right now. And what I did. I ran for a trustee, and that was 3 terms ago. And here we are now doing this is something I just can't even believe. It's surreal. Let me skip ahead because this is taking much longer than I thought it would take. I want to thank my team. This all kind of came together really fast. Initially happened on a boat with some of my dear friends, Mike Kelly, who's sitting right here. He happens to be my grandson's grandfather as well. Don Lyon, Glenn Korf, we all talked about what if I ran for mayor? Could I do this? And they said, you can do this. We had a big dinner at my house, my family, all my daughters and sons-in-laws, and they said, yes, you can do this. If not you, Dad, who can? You can do this. So we made it happen, and we did this election with 2 words in mind: to be respectful and be relentless. Respectful of the other candidates. There were 2 candidates that I considered dear friends. John Riddler is a really good man, and that man right there, Tom Schwingbeck, is another really good man. And they were already in the race, and I thought, you know what, we can do this and be respectful of each other. And we did, and it was a really well done. How many times, Tom, did we get complimented after forums that said, wow, it's so nice to see 3 candidates that actually like each other? And it's true. We are friends, and we are going to keep working together and make really great things happen. There's a lot of other people that were part of the team. Liz and Steve Tchaikovsky were here. Andy Bennett right there. Jim Bertucci was a big help in the whole program. Kelly, in my office, I don't know what I would have done without your help. My office almost went broke because of this. Kelly saved our butts. But there were 2 ladies that were above and beyond all of the work that had to be done, and one is holding that camera right there, Melanie Santo-Stefano. Her multimedia company is Vicarious Multimedia. She did all the work with me on the internet and all the writing of all the speeches. She did wonderful work. And then the other gal is Mary Fran Leno, and her mom and her daughter are sitting right here, Pat and Mallory. 2 women that I would never, ever want to go against in a contest. Just fabulous ladies that know how to run things. So because of them, I'm here right now, all those people I just mentioned. Chris Solom, where is she at? She's the family photographer. She's been at every event we've done, and she's taken all these great pictures. And then last but not least, Johnny Picchiotti, one of the youngest members of our team. He's a fabulous guy. Is he here? Not sure if he made it. And then there's someone who left the building a long time ago, but he was super inspirational to me, and his wife is still here. Where is Cindy Schrader? I just saw her a moment ago. Cindy. Mike Schrader, raise your hand if you know who Mike Schrader is. One of the most wonderful men in this community. He was one of the main reasons I became a trustee 12 years ago, and I just wish he was here now to see what we've been able to do together and to see what we're going to keep doing here. Everything that Mayor Hayes said is true, and we're going to keep doing it, keep making great things happen. So I'm going to leave you with this. We have this little saying in my house that there are 3 kinds of people in the family. And I know my kids could all repeat this in front of me here. The first one is people that make things happen. Second kind of person is a person who lets things happen. And the third kind of person is a person who wonders what the heck just happened. Now, which one are you going to be? Now, if I raised up this sleeve, I'd show you I have it inked on my arm. I make things happen. They all have it on them. We are going to make things happen together, this board. That's my commitment to you. I want to thank all the people who voted for me. And all those who did not vote for me, I'm going to do everything I can to earn your respect and confidence in the next 4 years, and that we're going to get through this together. It's going to be wonderful. So thank you all very, very, very much. And there was a name that just got shouted out. John, where's John? Scaletta, right there. John is a trustee friend of mine who sat next to me for 10 years. Without his help on all this before, would not have been done either. John is a great man. And right now, he is the newly elected Elk Grove Village Supervisor. Another great commitment. So thank you, John. Appreciate it very, very much. Now we're going to do the oaths. The other oaths, right? Okay?
Very good.
Okay. First one. Where is Jim Bertucci? Coming up here, this way. Oh, I have to sign mine first. I can do that. Nope. Now I'm official. Okay, thank you. Jim, are you ready?
I'm ready if you're official.
I think I just got official. I gotta put my glasses on those. I'll screw this up for sure. Oh, no, those right there, thank you. All right, James. State your name. I,
James Bertucci,
having been elected to the village trustee
having been elected to village trustee
in the village of Arlington Heights
in the village of Arlington Heights
in the county of Cook,
in the county of Cook,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office according to the best of my ability.
of the office according to the best of my ability.
I know you will. Great. Don't be Italian now.
No. I'm going to keep this short so that we move along. Again, like as Jim did, first want to thank Tom Hayes, wherever he disappeared, there he is, for all his years of service, for his mentorship of when I first got on the board 4 years ago. And I also want to thank Richard, who's not here. Maybe he's watching. And then also for Nicole's years of service. I remember when we were both running 4 years ago, and she said, let's go have something, get some coffee or something over at Cocoa and Blue. And very similar to what you were talking about. We just said, we want to, do this together, be respectful and fair to each other, and it's always been that way ever since. So, Nicole, thank you. Certainly, my fellow board members, those who will be joining us, I'm excited about working with everybody, and also, obviously, I'm very thankful to the residents of Arlington Heights. I would be remiss if, and I'm going to be careful not to start naming names because, as Jim will tell you, you forget names, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention my significant other, Jennifer, for her love and support along the way. And then those who were also anchors and support for me, not only fellow board members, but in particular, John Scaletta and Andy Bennett and all the people that we run with and bounce ideas around and sharpen each other's saw, so to speak. So with that being said, make a commitment to you for another 4 years to do the best job possible. And I once again, I appreciate all of you.
Bill. Yes. All right, Bill, you ready?
I am.
All right. Bill, state your full name, please.
I, Bill or William Manganaro,
Having been elected to the office of village trustee
having been elected to the office of village trustee
in the village of Arlington Heights
in the village of Arlington Heights
in the county of Cook,
in the county of Cook,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office according to the best of my ability.
of the office according to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations, I know you will.
I will also do my best to be brief. First, I do want to go on with thanking those who are leaving the board. Mayor Hayes, Rep. Grassi, and Richard. Each of you in your own way have a lot to do with me being here, as do so many people here in the room. Tonight, I appreciate all of the help that I was given, because really none of us can accomplish much by ourselves. And together, we can get done whatever we need to. And that is my goal, is to together with every member of this board to get to the work that's ahead of us here in Arlington Heights, because we have a busy time ahead. I am ready to roll up my sleeves and get it done. I want to, one more thing, I really appreciate, and I said this a good bit through the campaign, that Arlington Heights has at-large trustees, that I now work for everybody in the village, and I am ready to do that work. I look forward to engaging with residents, with businesses, with other stakeholders in the village to get your work done. Thank you very much.
Carina. Are you ready? Okay. All right, so Carina, please state your full name. I,
Carina Homan Santa Maria,
having been elected to the office of village trustee
having been elected to the office of village trustee
in the village of Arlington
in
Heights,
the village of Arlington Heights,
in the county of Cook,
in the county of Cook,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office according to the best of my ability.
of the office according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, I know you will.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'll also make this quick. I know that there's a lot of you here supporting so many of us. So I'm incredibly honored and humbled to stand before you tonight as the newest trustee of Arlington Heights. And this moment really means so much to me, not just as a public servant who has really dedicated my entire career to giving back to our community, but also as a proud resident, a neighbor, a social worker, and most importantly, a mom and a wife. I first and foremost really want to thank my family. Do you boys want to come up here? And bring Dad on a stick because he couldn't be here today. My husband unfortunately had to travel. It's your love and your patience and belief in me that has really given me the foundation through all of this journey. And so they were endured many sleepless nights with me. There were some missed basketball games and sports games or other events. And so I couldn't do this without their support. And I love you both so much. And thank you so much for being a part of this wonderful team. It's our family. It's our number one team, right? And my husband, who can't be here. I'm so sad. But he's probably live streaming this. And he's so embarrassed that I'm holding this up right now. So here we are. I also really want to, my entire campaign was rooted in It Takes a Village, and I wouldn't be here without every single one of you in this room. There are so many of you who volunteered, who said, how can I help, from hosting a coffee, a meet and greet, to walking and knocking on doors. And I also want to say, you never know when you inspire someone. So my 7th and 8th grade teacher walked through the door tonight, completely surprising me. And so to my educators that are here, the power of education and the impact that you have is extremely powerful. So thank you so much for coming. They are the first women who really inspired government and having those discussions with me, and also that women belong in government and feminism. And so I really am very thankful for them. and everyone who endorsed me. So thank you so much to Drew Hansen and the firefighters union, as well as the Sierra Club, all the businesses that were really wonderful and great along the way, all of the previous board members and current legislators, and my new board members. I'm so excited to get to work with all of you, and I know that we'll do some great things together. So thank you.
Okay, last but not least, letter Z. All right, yeah, I'm sure you are. All right, Greg, so I, and state your full name,
I, Greg Zyck,
having been elected to the office of village trustee
having been elected to the office of village trustee
in the village of Arlington Heights,
in the village of Arlington Heights,
in the county of Cook,
in the county of Cook,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office according to the best of my ability.
of the office according to the best of my abilities.
I know you will.
Okay, thank you for sticking around here to listen to a bunch of politicians make a bunch of statements. But thank you all very much for being here. The support that I got through this campaign, excuse me, it's already happening. All the support that I got through this campaign, for everybody that was here that supported me, thank you all very much. This was a different campaign. We had a lot of really good people that ran on this campaign, but I'm really thrilled to be here with these 8 people as we sit here and we make this course of where Arlington Heights is going to be, make it a great course. So I'm really looking forward to everything that we've got to accomplish. And I say got to accomplish because we have to accomplish it. There's so many things that we have to do, and we have to get it done during this time. As I'm saying thank you to certain people, Tom Hayes, I do want to say thank you to everything that you've done for the village, and also what you've done for me. You know, I spent 12 years on the library board. I spent 4 years as president. We went through some tough times. I happened to have the fortune of being the president during COVID, and I would call Tom every once in a while and ask him his advice, and he was always there. He always answered the phone, and he always gave great advice. So thank you very much for everything you've done. I really appreciate that. And there's so many people that have supported me during this time, but I do want to call out a few people very special to me. My dad and my dad, Tom Zyck, and my stepmom, Janice Zyck, who is sitting here recording me. Hi, how are you? Thank you all very much for your love and support. My son, Justin, who's over here, who's standing next to Tom Hayes. Thank you all very much for your love. And of course, my wife, Krista Zyck, who's sitting back there also. Thank you all very much for your love, support, and it was a interesting journey. Certain times I don't think she signed up for what the journey was, but thank you very much for putting up with me during that. And we've got a lot of work to do. I spent these last 12 years showing that I'm here for everybody in the village, and that's what I promised to do. I'm going to be here. I'm going to take every single decision that has to be made and think about it in the best guise of the village and what we need to do to accomplish what we need to accomplish. So anyways, I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to stop babbling because I can do this for a long time. And let's get to work. Thank you very much.
I have one last thing to do that I completely forgot about, but like I said, I'm 50% excited and 50% nervous as heck. I want to introduce you to my family. Cindy, this is the First Lady of Arlington Heights. Our oldest daughter, Stephanie. Ryan, is he? Okay, Ryan is with the little peanut outside there. Alexandra, we call her Alex. This is my second oldest daughter. Jimmy, my oldest son. Emotional. And our youngest, our little peanut, is Nick. balance us out here, bud. All right. Just thank you very much.
I'm gonna take a couple pictures. 1, 2, 3. One, two, three. Very good. Thank you.
Very good. And Cody, right there, is Alex's husband. They don't have any children yet. Working on it. Yes, thanks. All right, so what I probably ought to do is let you know that we actually do have to have a regular meeting now. I'm gonna shut this thing off. And if anybody wants to leave, now is a good time to do it. Because we're gonna just say a pledge, go through minutes, and do some other things. So if you wanna take 2 minutes and exit, you're all welcome to do so. Thank you all. For those of you who do leave, thank you for being here.
As the room empties out.
Yeah.
We over. There's a Keurig. There's a Keurig in there. Never really nasty. It does work.
It's life organized here.
Yes, and the email. I did on this one, and not that one. Oh wait, I found it.
I'll send them out to you.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is that the old Park District director from Meadows? He's at Bartlett now?
Right.
His back is to us right now. I think it was
Oh, you
That's exactly who it is. I totally forgot.
Karina, are you trying to pull up the? You could also do it from just from the
This is
village
what's
website.
normal right there, Bill.
Like you could just go to vh.gov.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're gonna get started.
Perfect, thank you.
I believe so. Right there.
Oh, okay. Do I have to sign in though?
We're gonna move on, since Tom already called the meeting to order, we're gonna, if you please, all wouldn't mind standing up and joining us in the Pledge of Allegiance. If you please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And then if we could have the clerk call roll.
Trustee Bertucci,
Here.
Trustee Zyck,
Here.
Trustee Schwingbeck,
Here.
Trustee Santa Maria,
Here.
Trustee Manganaro, Trustee Dunnington,
Here.
Trustee Shirley,
Here.
Trustee LaBedz,
Here.
President Tinaglia.
Here. Okay, so we have a quorum and the board is present. The next item of business is approval of minutes. And we have one set of minutes approved from 4/21. And is there any trustee that has any revisions or changes? Anyone who wants to pass on voting?
Pass.
Pass for Greg,
Pass.
pass for Carina, and pass for Bill. Okay, I need a motion, please, to approve.
I would move approval of the village board minutes from April 21st, 2025.
Second.
Motion was made by trustee Schwingbeck and seconded by trustee Dunnington. Any other discussion? We'll wait. I think we're going to need your vote, no? We'll give it a try. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? None. Motion carries. Okay. Then we have closed session minutes. Is there any trustee that has any revisions that need to be done? Or anybody that wants to pass? I'm going to assume the same three?
Pass, yep.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move approval of the closed session minutes for November 4th, 2024.
And a second?
Second.
Motion's made by trustee Bertucci and seconded by trustee Shirley. No further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone say nay? Motion carries. All right, well, then, item number 5 is approval of accounts payable, and I would call on Trustee Bertucci.
Mayor, I'll move approval of the warrant register for the check date April 30th, 2025, in the amount of $3,302,543.72.
Second.
Motion made by Trustee Bertucci, second by Trustee Schwingbeck. Any discussion from anyone? Anyone from the audience? Okay, roll call, please.
Trustee Bertucci?
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck?
Yes.
Trustee Shirley?
Yes.
Trustee Manganaro?
Aye.
Trustee Dunnington?
Yes.
Trustee LaBedz? Trustee Zyck?
Yes.
Trustee Santa Maria?
Yes.
President Tinaglia?
Yes. All right, and then recognitions and communications. There are none that I have on my list here. So recognitions and communications. I do have these for citizens to be heard, though, I believe. So I have 2 blue cards. Is there anyone else? I have Mr. Nagy and Mr. Alva Kretzner. Anybody else? And Mr. Gregg will come up here in a second. All right, so let's start with Mr. Nagy.
Good evening. First, I want to say welcome to the newly elected officials to office. Your commitment to serve Arlington Heights is both commendable and deeply appreciated. Public service requires vision, diligence, and the ability to listen to residents, to each other, and the evolving needs of our community. I wish you all the best as you begin this important chapter. You have taken on this responsibility at a time of great opportunity. Our community is growing, our residents are engaged, and the decisions you make in the coming months and years will help shape the future of Arlington Heights. That's not a small task, but it's also an exciting one. As you begin your work, I encourage you to approach each issue with a sense of purpose, a commitment to making decisions that serve all of Arlington Heights, not just today, but in the long run. That means focusing on sustainable revenues and policies that provide broad, lasting benefits. A key example is how we think about economic development. There's been a lot of discussions about the Chicago Bears and the potential of redevelopment of their property. While this is a significant opportunity, we must ensure it's not a one-sided deal. Rather than subsidizing billionaires and rich corporations, we should invest in policies that support the entire community. A land value tax, or LVT, offers one such approach. By taxing land value, not the buildings or improvements on it, we can promote development that serves the public good. It encourages productive use of land, supports housing affordability, and provides a stable revenue stream to fund infrastructure and essential services. It also ensures that valuable land, like the Bears site, contributes fairly to our tax base, turning into a long-term asset, not a liability. When paired with smart housing policy, the LVT can help Arlington Heights grow in a way that is inclusive, equitable, and financially sound. It's a win-win for residents, for local businesses, and for our city's fiscal health. As mayor and trustee, respectively, you have a chance to champion policies that not only work today, but that will keep working for generations. I urge you to think big, plan responsibly, and always center the well-being of our entire community in our decision. Thank you, and best of luck in serving Arlington Heights.
Thank you, Mr. Nagy. That was excellent. You were exactly 3 minutes. All right. Alva Kretzner? Did I say that right, Alva?
No.
Help me out.
It's okay. Alva Kreutzer, hi. How are you?
Kreutzer, okay, I'm sorry.
First of all, congratulations. A job well done, and I wish you the best of luck.
I'm really not here in official capacity. I think some of you know that I'm on the District 214 Board of Education. I'm currently president and in service to Arlington Heights. I think you know that I don't live in Arlington Heights. I'm a over 40-year resident of Elk Grove Village, but I always feel like I'm a resident of Arlington Heights because you've always treated me very well, and really appreciate everything that has been done in the past, and I know we will continue the collaboration that we've had over the many, many years. You know, this past year and a half, it's been a lot of collaboration going on, and really appreciate the work that our superintendent and the village manager had done. And but we worked together, and we got through it. And I really appreciate that that collaboration. And I know that goes way back, you know, with the SRO that we have at the high school. And so, you know, the district is very large. It's 65 square miles and about 300,000 residents. So we touch a lot of people. But I always feel like that the park districts, the library, the schools, that we all work together because we're all one big family here, and we're trying to do the best that we can for everyone. But just thank you, and let's continue the collaboration. Hope to talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Alva. I think I can speak for everyone up here that we agree with everything you said. It takes a village, and all the different stakeholders, like you just mentioned, are so important. So thank you. Thank you. And there's one more. Greg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and congratulations to you and to all the new trustees, and thank you to all those that are serving us now and our village staff and all the first responders and public works folks that help us. I'm Greg Padavani. I serve as chairman of the Veterans Memorial Committee of Arlington Heights. We are organizing the 106th annual Memorial Day Parade and ceremony here in Arlington Heights. The parade is going to be one of our largest. It is going to be following the same route it always has. And in fact, you'll see these flyers all over town. And these are also posted on the village website, on the Park District website, and windows and stuff like that. The point is, the parade steps off at 9:30. It'll have, this year we might have as many as 3,000 people marching. A lot of first-timers joining us, first time ever. Special Olympics of Illinois has never marched in a parade anywhere. They're coming here to Arlington Heights for the first time. For the first time ever, we're going to have the Rolling Meadows Marching Band here, hosting them in Arlington Heights, and a whole bunch of other folks. Most importantly, I'd like you to remember that in this parade, we're going to have a whole lot of active duty soldiers, sailors, Marines, service people. The Navy is sending, again, 100 sailors to march in our parade. The 484th Army Band is going to be marching. Our guest of honor is Major General James Mukuyama, retired, U.S. Army retired. And all these people are serving or have served. And as they march along the parade, it's really encouraging to have people stand up on both sides, clap, and yell thank you, especially to these young Navy people, because in a very short few months, they're going to go out to the fleet and go into harm's way. And us here in Arlington Heights telling them how important it is for their service really makes an impact on these 18, 19-year-olds. In fact, when they get back to the base, their chief petty officers who are running their basic training tell them, next time, now, remember, when you go out to the fleet and you're in harm's way, remember, Arlington Heights is what you're defending. And it really makes an impact. So I'm asking the community to stand, clap, and yell thank you to these young men and women as they march on by. But there's lots of veterans there too, and they need the appreciation because they've served and sacrificed as well. So that parade starts at 9:30. It marches the same route we always have. And along the route, we're going to have Pack 32 from First Pres, Scout Pack 32 from First Pres, handing out our Arlington's Remember signs. These are the ones that we hold up at not only along the parade route, but also at the ceremony, because at the back of that sign is the list of Arlington's fallen heroes, the young men who have given their lives for our freedoms during everything from the Civil War to Afghanistan. We now have 68 young men from our town who have given the ultimate sacrifice, because the big news this year is that we've discovered 9 additional young men from what became Arlington Heights, 9 additional young men who died during the Civil War and have been forgotten for 160 years. And we want to bring these young men back to memory at the ceremony and at just everybody looking at these lists. So please, if you can at all, please join us after the parade at Memorial Park, which is just a little triangular park 1 block west of Arlington Library. And that's where we'll have the ceremony at 11 o'clock. So please, I'm asking the whole town to join us to honor our current serving military and our veterans, but then to come to the solemn ceremony and remember our nation's fallen heroes, including and especially the 68 from our town. Thank you. Any questions? Straightforward.
Thank you, Greg. No one does this better than you. How many years have you been doing this?
This is my 15th year, and I was taught by Wally Litchfager, who has done it for 25 years before me, and his brother 25 years before him. So I'm standing on the shoulders of giants.
It's wonderful. Thank you for all that you do, Greg.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else in the audience that wants to be heard, under citizens to be heard for an item not on the agenda? Okay. So next, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's consent agenda. Is that right? Mm-hmm. And consent agenda is a group of items that will all get voted on at one time. Is there any one trustee that wants to recuse himself or herself from an item on the consent agenda? Seeing none, is there anyone, trustee, that wants to have an item removed from the consent agenda? Trustee?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'd like to remove item M, the ordinance for the fire vehicle replacement budget amendment.
Okay, that will be removed. Anyone else? Okay. Is there anyone from the audience that wishes to remove an item from the agenda? Seeing none. Okay. Can we have a motion to approve the consent agenda except item M?
I would move approval of the consent agenda minus item M.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by trustee LaBedz and seconded by trustee Bertucci. All those in favor, oh, this is a roll call vote, right?
Trustee LaBedz?
Yes.
Trustee Bertucci?
Yes.
Trustee Santa Maria?
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck?
Yes.
Trustee Zyck?
Yes.
Trustee Dunnington?
Yes.
Trustee Manganaro?
Yes.
Trustee Shirley?
Yes.
President Tinaglia?
Yes. Okay, so that is done. Now, Hart, should we take that item up now?
We can.
Okay.
Yeah, you can take item M
Yeah,
now.
right now then. Item M, if you would like to go ahead and ask your questions.
Sure, and it's just one brief question. This is something that when I saw this in the original packet a few weeks ago at the board meeting, I was really surprised by the lead time for this vehicle. It came up both in my orientation with the fire department and with Public Works. And I would just ask that staff could, for the benefit of public knowledge, explain that lead time.
Sure. And I'm going to have Chief Harris talk about the uniqueness of this, but just for the benefit of the folks at home, the item we're talking about is the purchase of a new pumper engine in the fire department. But
Okay.
I'll let Chief Harris take it away.
Chief, thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me, and congratulations to everyone. Before I get started, I'll just tell you these lead times are incredible challenging for us. In my previous experience before coming to Arlington Heights and prior to COVID, we were looking at 8 to 10 months to sometimes up to a year to receive a fire engine or a truck. I could stand up here for a half an hour and go over things in detail, but what I tried to do is just put it into a brief synopsis, and then I can answer some questions at the end. So I did want to keep this short, and I'll answer your questions at the end. But regarding the production delays of our fire trucks, engine, and ambulances, which now have extended lead times of 33 months for our ambulances and 51 months for our engines and our trucks. The primary reason for these delays stems from a combination of factors affecting the manufacturing industry as a whole. The COVID-19 pandemic disrupted supply chains globally, leading to significant shortages in essential materials such as steel and electronic components. This has created a ripple effect, delaying not only the production of fire apparatus, but also many other essential goods. Additionally, the demand for fire trucks and engines has surged as many municipalities are looking to upgrade their fleets just as we are. With increased competition for limited resources, manufacturers are struggling to keep pace with these orders. This situation is further exacerbated by labor shortages in manufacturing and logistics, which have slowed down production lines and delivery schedules. Ordering our fire engines, trucks, and ambulance well in advance is crucial for several reasons. First and most importantly, ordering early enables us to be fiscally responsible, securing 2025 pricing on a 2029 delivery of a fire engine. It confirms our place in the productive queue, ensuring that we will receive our apparatus as laid out in our vehicle replacement plan with our public works counterparts who manage our fleet. It also provides manufacturers with information they need to forecast demand and allocate resources effectively, which can help mitigate longer delays for us in the future. In conclusion, while the current delays are challenging, they are a reflection of broader industry trends. By planning ahead and placing our orders now, we can ensure that our fire department is equipped with the necessary apparatus to serve and protect our community stakeholders effectively. I hope this short overview answered most of your questions or concerns, and I thank you for your understanding and the village board and the village manager's continuous support as we navigate these very difficult issues. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Appreciate that information. Does that answer your question?
Thank you, Chief. One quick question. Did I understand correctly in orientation that there has been a consolidation of manufacturers over the course of all of these events that you described?
There has been, over the last couple of years, one conglomerate bought 3 or 4 different manufacturers. So we basically have 3 manufacturers right now to choose from. This conglomerate that bought 3 or 4 different companies, Pierce and Rosenbauer.
Thank you. Thank you. And again, I appreciate your being here tonight to explain this to us. As I've read through this, I was, as you mentioned earlier, really surprised by how much and how quickly these lead times have increased. And so I wanted to thank yourself, the Public Works, the village staff, for the diligence in being forward-looking, in bringing this to us with plenty of time to have this equipment when we will need it.
It truly is a team effort between the village manager, Public Works, and our team to bring this all together and make sure we're getting, 2025 pricing for a rig that could have multiple changes by the time we get it in 2029. So it's a team effort, and Melissa Gallagher and Rob Horn and their team at Public Works, we lay out the plan and we try and do what's best for the village at the time with the difficult decisions we have to put in front of us.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions for Chief? Anyone from the audience? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to approve item F?
I will move that we approve the budget amendment ordinance in the amount of $1.3158 million for the purchase of 1 Pierce Impel pumper engine.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions, comments? Roll call?
Trustee Manganaro?
Yes.
Trustee LaBedz?
Yes.
Trustee Shirley?
Yes.
Trustee Dunnington?
Yes.
Trustee Santa Maria?
Yes.
Trustee Zyck?
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck?
Yes.
Trustee Bertucci?
Yes.
President Tinaglia?
Yes. Okay, I think that's it for the consent agenda. Now we're going to go on to new business, and we have 3 items for new business tonight. The first one is Arlington Heights Ford. It's a sign variation. Is the petitioner here? Very good. If you want to come on up and introduce yourself. Tell us what you're hoping to get accomplished.
Hello. First of all, congratulations to everybody that's new on the board here. Absolutely. My name is Cassie. I am one of the managers at Arlington Heights Ford, been there since 2002. So what we're looking to do is we purchased the building that's just behind our store, the warehouse. We have had it since, I've been here a couple times. We had to have it zoned for the proper usage of service for commercial vehicles. Now we're just looking to finish that off with the signage. We are looking for signage in the front, as well as signage on the side of the building that faces Dundee. You want to introduce yourself?
Very good.
Hi, my name is Bill Holly. I'm from Bright Light Sign. Just here to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you. So, Village Manager Reckhouse, are we gonna do a little presentation on this from your department or Emily?
Yes.
Go right ahead.
All right, thank you. As the petitioner indicated, we are here to consider sign variations for the Ford Pro facility. They did previously receive their land use variation to operate their service facility at the location that is just south of the current Ford dealership at 3456 North Ridge Avenue. They are seeking 6 variations that relate to 4 proposed wall signs. Only 1 wall sign is permitted at this location, and they are also looking for larger wall signs than are permitted. This graphic just depicts the signage location on the north and east walls. Here, this is the view of the building from Ridge Avenue, so this is the east elevation, and you can see there's currently no signage on the building. If you were to drive by this site today, there's some temporary signage on the building, but overall, there's no permanent sign on the east facade. This is the proposed signage that they're looking to install. There are some additional facade improvements that are proposed as well. You notice the building's a different color. They're painting the brick and painting the doors. That's not part of what's under consideration tonight, but it is certainly going to be a noticeable improvement to the site. This is the proposed north elevation. It's difficult to see. If you follow that red area, you can see the building way in the back there behind the dealership. This is the north facade where they're proposing additional signage, similar, almost exactly the same, in fact, to the signage they're proposing on the east facade. Just hoping to gain a little bit of visibility from West Dundee Road, as well as some visibility to those who might be visiting the dealership and trying to navigate back to the service facility. The Design Commission did consider these signage variations. They were supportive of all 6 variations, subject to the petitioner looking at the north elevation and possibly adjusting the sign location. I believe the petitioner has done that, has chosen to retain the plans as they submitted. They think that best meets their needs. So the motion that is before the board this evening is a motion to direct staff and the village attorney to prepare the final documents approving the signage variations in accordance with the materials in your packet.
Thanks very much. Okay. Anything else from the petitioner, or is that?
No.
Okay.
Sums it up.
All right, great. Then let's go ahead and ask questions. Trustee LaBedz.
Thank you. I just have a question. Ms. Rodman, if you would go back to the slide before the motion slide. So I wasn't sure if I caught it. There was discussion on the north side to move things slightly, and I didn't pick up that you agreed or you didn't agree.
Yes, we had looked at it, and I think we also spoke to Bright Light about it a little bit. We were working out the logistics of that. There are some doors that are placed right on that side of the building. So essentially what we're looking to do with that, we want it to look like one big campus, right? Because that building was never a part of us before, and we want people to know that is now a part of our store.
Okay, but you are moving it slightly, or you're not moving it slightly?
No, actually, it wasn't proposed to be moved. It's a little further east on the building.
Okay.
The suggestion was to try and move it further west.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But in reality, the visibility for that sign is really trying to help the people that are coming from the west to the east. So if the sign is further east, you get to see it a little quicker without turning your head so much for those people for the west. When you're coming from the east, the sign is blocked by the Arlington Heights dealership until you really get past their drive, or at least up to their drive. So we feel that the location of the sign currently would be more useful for the people coming from the west as opposed to the other direction.
Okay. Oh, thank you for the explanation. I know that originally staff was not supportive of the north, the sign's on the north, but that the design commission is. And I concur with the design commission. I think it's right. When you think about it, maybe you can't see it, immediately from the street, but especially if you're on the campus, as you said, you need to be able to navigate to this part of your business. So to me, it makes sense.
Well, they've also opened up an entrance to that building through the Arlington Heights dealership. So you do really have access through Dundee Road.
An even better reason. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Trustee Bertucci.
Thank you, Mayor. So as Trustee LaBedz had mentioned, and I also noticed in the Design Commission minutes that staff was going to deny those, but I didn't see in your presentation, Emily, of where staff stands now.
Staff had initially recommended denial of the variation of the signage on the north side of the property just because staff did not feel it really provided any benefit in terms of visibility to West Dundee Road. At the Design Commission meeting, there was obviously discussion about that signage. The petitioner indicated they did see value to having the signage in terms of navigating internally within the property. So staff certainly understands that, and we're supportive of the sign as the Design Commission is.
Okay, so you are supportive and recommending also? Okay, I didn't know if you guys were just staying silent or if you changed, so to speak, over to the, okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
You answered part of my question, which was about the disconnect, or what I saw as a difference. So, thank you. I'm still struggling a little bit after driving up there to understand how visible that signage will be. Granted, it's very, very hard to see the building from Dundee Road. I think you may have explained it a bit to me because I didn't try driving through the Ford property up front. So a lot of the goal is to guide people in that direction. Am I
And when we
understanding
spoke to
correctly?
the committee previously, yes, we did mention not only was it helpful for the people that were on our lot that needed to make their way back over to that side, because we do have, like he said, that gated off area that's now open where you can drive right through. In addition to that, we were also thinking about some of the traffic in Portillo's, which is right across the street from that and has a clear visibility to it. So we are going to, before the sign company erects these signs, we currently have a banner that is being made that's going to be about the size of the sign so that we can get a good idea ourselves. Is this as visible as we think it's going to be? So I think that's going to shed some light for us as well.
Tom?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I think the signage is very tasteful. You guys have been great business partners in Arlington Heights. I'd be happy to put a motion on the floor.
Please do.
I would move to direct staff and the village attorney to prepare final documents granting the requested sign variance relief. All is set forth in the agenda materials for tonight's board meeting, subject to the compliance with the plans dated September 21st, 23, received on April 1st, 2025.
Second. Who was the second? Scott? Okay, so motion's made by Trustee Schwingbeck, seconded by Trustee Shirley. Any further questions from the board? Anyone from the audience? Roll call on this one?
You don't have to, but we can if you'd like.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? None? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Good luck to you guys.
Thank
you.
Thank you for being here tonight.
And Mayor, the final ordinance will be on the agenda for your next meeting on the 19th.
And that'll be in the consent?
I presume so, yes. That would be our normal practice.
All right. Now we'll move on to item B. Item B in the new business is Arlington Ridge Center Building Addition, 660 North Ridge Road, Ridge Avenue. And the petitioner is here, I see. Fabulous. Why don't you go ahead and tell us what you want to do?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and congratulations. Congratulations to all the other new trustees. The Arlington Heights Park District, John Kramer. I'm here with Maggie Krieger from FGM, Monica Maroney, Goshorn Maroney, and Steve Corcoran from Erickson. We have two back-to-back presentations, but there may be some questions linked to either one of their items. We have a brief presentation going through the renovations plan for the Arlington Ridge Center, and I'll start through the slides and then turn it over to Maggie to go through the design. Our design team agenda for the evening. Just existing conditions, project scope, and then questions relative to existing conditions at the facility. We're largely looking for a renovation on the inside of the facade as well as a two-story addition. So the addition is shown in yellow. Existing conditions shown looking at both, looking to the east. Here's the existing site plan. Oh, sorry, the new site plan. And I will turn it over to Maggie.
So obviously with a new addition, we're doing a two-story addition to the building. It impacts some of the on-site amenities. So over on the right side of the page, you have your existing playground, and we're going to be relocating the basketball courts to the left side of the page, and tweaking the swings and playground on the right side of the page to accommodate the new addition. So this is a blow up of the basketball courts. The basketball courts will be facing north, which is plan right on this, and it'll be enclosed in fencing. Most of our fencing will be 4 feet high to not block visibility for vehicular traffic going around the parking area, and then we'll raise to 8 feet high closer to the west side and north side of the basketball courts to hopefully keep the balls in. And then over on the north side of the site, you see we've got the addition left page and adjusted playground and swings to accommodate the new portion of the building. This is a rendering of the new portion of the building with the existing, so you can see we carried some of the architectural elements of the existing rec center that was built out, I think in 2020 is when it opened, right? On the interior, we're going to be making some renovations to the locker area supporting the interior aquatic. So there'll be some additional changing space for the women's changing room and some new family changing rooms, and then additional new family changing rooms, to the south side of the page. The first floor of the addition will be a multi-purpose room and a reconfiguration of the entry vestibule to help with circulation. The second floor will be a new fitness studio to support the fitness program for the Park District. And these are some interior renderings of the new fitness studio and the new multi-purpose room.
Anybody have any questions for petitioner? Okay, does staff have a proposal? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I guess.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Give me one moment to change presentations here. Okay. As the petitioner indicated, they are before the board this evening to request an amendment to the planned unit development and an amendment to their special use permit, as well as some variations for the Arlington Ridge Center. They already shared a location map for you, but this is located at 660 North Ridge Avenue. The overall site is a little over 10 acres. It is zoned for the Public Lands District and is designated for the parks in the comprehensive plan. The building received its original PUD approval in 2003, and it was amended in 2018 for a subsequent addition. The relief they're requesting, as I mentioned, is the amendment to the existing PUD and special use permit, as well as 4 variations. One is to waive the requirement for a traffic study. One is to further the relief from the required parking spaces, which we'll touch on momentarily. And then there's a variation related to the fence for the basketball court and a variation as it relates to the location of the 2 accessory structures, both the playground and the basketball court. This is an image you've seen. The green area is the updated playground. Of course, that red area is the new 6,150 square foot addition, and then that yellow area is the basketball court. I will skip through these floor plans. You've seen those and this exterior elevation. I'll touch just very quickly on the parking. There was zoning relief that was granted in 2018 with the building addition to reduce the overall parking requirement. The parking is based on the total occupancy of the building. It's 30% of the building at maximum occupancy. But as many of you know, the uses in the building fluctuate depending on the time of day, the activities going on, and the time of year. So they certainly don't need the 516 stalls that the parking analysis would require. They are not adding any parking with this building addition. So because they're not adding parking, but they are adding occupancy, it increases the variation that's required for parking. However, staff is supportive of that variation, as was the Plan Commission. There is language in that existing 2018 ordinance that approved the previous building addition that did require the Park District put some land bank parking in at the request of the village, should we request that in the future. This is the area of that proposed land bank parking at 17 parking stalls. There has not been a need, obviously, to date to install that. We certainly don't anticipate a need, but we are carrying that condition forward as a recommendation just to continue to obligate the Park District to do that should there be a need in the future. This is the recommendation from the Design Commission. They did, of course, consider this application as it relates to the building addition. They were unanimously supportive of the addition. The two conditions you see here are just standard conditions that we assign to all of our Design Commission recommendations. And then the Plan Commission also reviewed this and was favorable. They did have a few conditions. Those first two I mentioned, those were conditions that were part of the 2018 approval that are just being carried forward. The third condition is with just regard to stormwater, asking for some additional information, as is the fourth condition, and then the fifth condition is a standard condition that you are used to seeing. So before the board this evening would be a motion to direct staff and the village attorney to proceed with preparing the final documents granting the zoning relief, subject to the conditions that are listed in your packet this evening.
All right, thanks very much, Emily. Questions from the board? Anyone from either side? Trustee LaBedz.
Thank you, Mayor Tinaglia. Certainly, this is a great problem to have, that you actually need more space because this has been so popular, and I'm definitely supportive. But I do have a question, something that had been brought up to me, in that the workout rooms get kind of hot. Is there going to be some kind of fan or air circulation or something like that that will, I mean, above and beyond people getting sweaty from doing their workouts, it seems to be some concern about not enough air movement or something like that. So I just wondered if that's something you can address or discuss, or even look into if it isn't something that was on your radar.
We will definitely look into it. There is no proposed changes for the fitness center. There are obviously mechanicals that are part of the overall project, but not specifically related to that, correct?
Nothing specific to the existing fitness center. I will say the new fitness studio is going to have ceiling fans.
Oh,
as
okay.
a supplement to the new mechanicals.
Okay, that's great. I think that'll help. Thank you.
Anyone else? Trustee Dunnington.
I don't have a question, but I'll make a motion to direct staff and the village attorney to prepare final documents granting the zoning relief requested and subject to the recommended conditions, all as set forth in the agenda materials for tonight's board meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Who is it?
Carina.
Very good. Is it Trustee Santa Maria? Okay, very good.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any further questions? Anyone from the audience? I guess that's it. Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? None. Motion carries. Great. You have another project you'd like to have in front of us?
Correct, if I may.
I'll read it out here real quick.
Recreation Park, Phase
Item
2.
C, right?
Correct.
It's Phase 2 and 3 at 500 East Minor Street. Go for it.
And again, I've got my project team with me as well, same as earlier. We'll go through a little bit about existing conditions, the community input process, our grants and schedule, and then move through Phase 2 and Phase 3 improvements. Existing conditions of Recreation Park with the two sites listed, Rec East and Rec West commonly. Our public input process involved 2 open house meetings and then 11 public board meetings of our park board. The grants involved currently, we're under a 1 OSLAD Open Space Land and Development Grant with the IDNR, which is part of Phase 1. We received the same grant for the Phase 2 work on the second half of the outside of the park, and then a park grant through IDNR, which is for the bathhouse renovations, the existing bathhouse renovations of the community building as we're referring to it now. Project schedule, we're underway on Phase 1, as you all have seen, and are making good progress there. Phase 2 of the project would look into a 25-26 schedule. Same with Phase 3. We're bidding both projects, Phase 2 and 3, concurrently now. For the site plan, I'm going to turn it over to Monica to go through.
Good evening. For phase two, site improvements include a new 41 stall parking lot located there on the right hand and upper side of the screen. Improvements also include a new basketball court located on the left hand side of the screen with a prefabricated restroom structure adjacent to it. The microphone, oh, sorry. And then the ball field improvements include a new open air player areas with shaded structure for baseball players, as well as new ADA accessible spectator areas with new concrete paving and bleachers. A new net backstop is also proposed with sports netting to increase the height in that area up to 40 feet. And on the south side of the baseball field here, you can see the open air dugout structures for players located again for the other side of the field. The ADA accessible spectator areas, and then also a new batting cage that is retractable along Douglas Avenue. There's also a curb cut for festival access proposed along Douglas. This is in a location where there is an existing curb cut, and this just expands it and makes it more accessible for festival use. Here's some images of what these improvements would look like with the batting cage, the ball field improvements with sports netting, the new basketball court, and prefabricated restroom. Here drills into a few details on the proposed backstop. The existing backstop is roughly 20 feet tall. This improvement will increase that height to 40 feet tall. So it'll include 8-foot black vinyl coated chain link fencing across the bottom. And then sports netting across the top of that. And that'll extend across the spectator areas, the players areas, and then across the backstop as well to increase the safety of all the park users. With that, I'll turn it over to phase 3.
For phase 3, our site improvements include redoing the drive-through parking lot to the north of the community building. We're going to be doing some interior renovation work to the existing historic community building, as well as a vestibule and elevator addition to make the building fully accessible. We're going to be replacing the 50-meter lap pool and doing a new splash pad and wading pool, and a new bathhouse with concessions, and then a year-round multi-purpose space on the south. So these are some exterior renderings of the new work. You'll see the existing 1930s building with a vestibule and elevator addition. The building will also get a raised deck that will be at the main level of the main community building elevation with stairs down to the pool deck elevation, which is similar to the existing elevation now. Here's a view from the new bathhouse of the raised deck. Floor plan of the main level of the community building. So we're preserving a lot of the existing footprint, but trying to maximize the programmable area for the park district for their current and future needs, including a staff office, accessible restrooms, some rental space, and maintaining the existing gym space. And then you can see the vestibule addition with the elevator to get access to the main level and the raised deck, and then the elevator goes to the lower level where the preschool currently is. And this is the lower level, so maintaining a lot of that existing open space for preschool and other programming, new accessible restrooms, and storage and staff spaces. And these are some images of interior renderings of the project. Lower level renderings, so the preschool space. This is an exterior rendering of the new bathhouse building, which is going to be in place of the existing bathhouse. This is a view of the breezeway to enter the pool area. So administration and concessions on the right. And this is a view from the southeast of the new parking lot for phase 2, showing the new multi-purpose space which the park district will be able to use year-round. Floor plan of the new bathhouse building. So the right side is concessions and park staff, so admissions, pool manager, guard spaces. The middle, which is that pinkish red color, is the new locker room spaces, which include men's and women's restrooms and 4 private family changing restrooms. The gray in the middle left is mechanical space for pool mechanical and building mechanical, and then also park ball field maintenance. And then kind of the colorful bar on the left side is the new multipurpose space with associated restrooms, storage, and a staff office. And these are some interior images of the multipurpose space and an entrance into the lockers. And then an overall kind of site image. You can see the new multipurpose building and bathhouse on the right, the new pool, and then improvements to the community building. These are just some elevations and materials proposed, so maintaining a lot of what's existing and then bringing in similar tones with browns and woods. We got a question previously about new lighting on site and the impact to the community. So we wanted to include a slide showing that we're essentially at 0-foot candles at lot line with the new lights proposed for the property. And we did get some pedestrian safety comments too, which we have our specialist here to speak to.
Good evening, Steve Corcoran with Erickson. At the Plan Commission, several members of the public came out and were concerned about pedestrian safety, particularly basically crossing Minor Street. They were concerned about people rolling the stop signs and not enough visibility for certain locations. So their basic requests were more signage, paint some additional crosswalks, and add some no parking from here to corner signs. Basically, then I followed up and I did a site visit. Basically, at Belmont Minor, the stop signs, the crosswalks paint is in good condition. Head out the same thing. At Douglas, I think it was missing one no park from here to corner sign that improved the visibility of people trying to cross there. And then the next street they had basically, there's nothing there, no crosswalks, no parking from here to corner signs. The other thing they asked for is we could have more signage for, basically saying stops for pedestrians, state law. And we're kind of in favor of that, but that's basically unfortunately, that's a village street, and it's for you folks to make that decision whether those signs should be put in place or not. Thank you.
Questions?
Does that conclude your presentation? Okay, does staff have a presentation as well?
Okay, I will try not to repeat what the petitioner has gone through. The Park District is before you this evening seeking an amendment to their planned unit development and special use permit. The planned unit development amendment is for phase 2 and 3, as they indicated. They previously received approval for phase 1, and they are looking to amend their existing special use permit for a facility owned by the Arlington Heights Park District. That is the defined use. This, of course, is the site. You've seen some aerials already. The site is a little over 18 acres. It is zoned our public lands district and designated for parks in the comprehensive plan. The requested relief they're seeking, in addition to the PUD and special use amendments, are several variations. One is to waive the requirement for a traffic study. The other variations are related to fence height, existing light pole height, the number of overall accessory structures and location of those, and then a variation related to off-street parking. You've seen this image already that outlines the different phases. This is an image of the proposed fencing on the site. So the blue fencing is proposed as aluminum or chain link fencing around the pool and bathhouse. The blue curved line at the top of the screen will be proposed aluminum fencing that will look like wrought iron style fencing. The proposed fencing, as you saw in one of the elevations the Park District showed around the pool itself, is proposed as chain link fencing. And staff strongly recommends that the Park District install the same fencing that they're looking to install around the splash pad area, that it be a decorative style fence. It is a very visible fence from the interior of the park, and we think that it would aesthetically be enhanced if it were a wrought iron style fence. We'll come back to that later in the presentation, but I did want to call out that location now. The yellow line that you see around the ball fields, that's the 10-foot chain link fence where normally 6 feet would be allowed. And then, of course, the red line is that netting that they referred to earlier in their presentation. In terms of parking, this again is similar to the ARC use where the parking calculation is based on maximum use of the facility. We don't anticipate maximum use of the facility at all times. And so that required parking, which is at the bottom there, that 533, is technically what the code requires. They are only providing 77 off-street parking stalls. So that's that parking, those 2 parking areas you see, actually it's 3 parking areas, excuse me, you see highlighted in red on the right of the screen there. So they do need a variation from 456 parking stall requirements. I will note though that there are almost 250 on-street parking stalls that are available adjacent to the park. The code doesn't allow them to take credit for the on-street parking, but it is available. And so there is quite a bit of parking in the vicinity of the park, and therefore staff was supportive of the variation request. I do want to touch on traffic control as well, as the petitioner did. Just want to fill in some additional information. At the Plan Commission hearing for Phase 2 and 3, there was some discussion about East Minor Street, and in particular, adding additional stop signs at Minor and Haddow. So just wanted to illustrate here that at Minor and Belmont, that's currently a 2-way stop, and that's a north-south stop. Going east-west, there are yield signs, so that traffic must yield to the north-south traffic. At Minor and Haddow, there is a 1-way stop, and at Minor and Douglas, it's a 4-way stop. There are crosswalks delineated at all 3 of those intersections, so it's very clear that there are pedestrians that are likely crossing at any time there. This other intersection was not raised as part of the Phase 2 and Phase 3 Plan Commission discussions, to my knowledge, but it was raised as part of the Phase 1 discussion, and that is the intersection of East Wing Street and Belmont Avenue. So that's that yellow circle there. As the petitioner indicated, there currently is no control there. There's no stop sign, no yield signs. I drove out there just before the meeting to confirm, but there are also no crosswalks that are currently delineated at that intersection. However, you can see to the north or in the blue, that is the intersection of Belmont with Minor, which does have the controlled stop signs north-southbound, and then all the way south on Belmont Avenue, there is a stop sign there before you get to Northwest Highway. One thing I will note is my understanding is that after Phase 1, because of the parking concerns that were raised by some of the residents, the village did go out, the engineering, Public Works and Engineering went out and evaluated the traffic in this area and determined at that time that there wasn't a need to put any other traffic control devices in place. Obviously, circumstances of the park are changing with these improvements, and so once these improvements are completed, the Public Works Engineering Department is happy to go out and take another look at traffic in this area. If that is something the board would like them to do, they can certainly reevaluate the circumstances once these improvements are completed. This is an elevation you've already seen of the community center. Just wanted to call out that part of this request is to put an addition onto the community center. So that glass area you see on the left side of the screen is going to be a new main entrance for the community center and serve as a lobby area. And then also they're incorporating an elevator for ADA accessibility. And they have designed that addition to match the bathhouse addition. This is the elevation you've already seen of the proposed bathhouse. And as you can see to the right of that, that's that proposed decorative fencing that they're putting in around the splash pad that staff is hoping to see around the rest of the site as well. The Design Commission did review this actually at 2 separate meetings and worked closely with the Park District. We certainly appreciate that the Park District took their feedback very seriously and to heart and did make some changes and come back to the Design Commission. So the recommendation the Design Commission brought forward did include some additional things that they asked the Park District to consider. I'm not going to read all of these, but they did relate to the color of some of the fence material and the deck material. They related to landscaping and some of the exterior lighting fixtures. So you can see all of those are here. And then, of course, those last couple are our standard conditions. This request, of course, went before the Plan Commission as well. The Plan Commission was also favorable in their recommendation, but they had some conditions for consideration. So one of them was to provide some additional revisions to their plans prior to submitting for a permit. My understanding is the Park District has already resubmitted their plans to Planning and Community Development staff for review. So some of these items may already be addressed in that plan set, and certainly that set will be reviewed before the ordinance is brought forward to the board. So some additional revisions to plans. That condition 3 is the condition that I was referencing earlier, where staff would like to see the Park District attempt to put in the aluminum fencing. This does provide the ability for the Park District to price out both the chain link fence and the aluminum fencing, and if it's determined not feasible, it would allow staff to permit them to go ahead and proceed with the chain link fence without having to come back to the board. This is just that elevation showing the fencing again, so you can reference that. And then these are the last few conditions the Plan Commission had placed on the petitioner, looking for some more information related to the preschool operation. As you're probably aware, drop-off and pickup for daycares and preschools can be challenging, so we're looking for them to provide us some information about how they intend to manage that. And then, of course, some of those remaining conditions are standard conditions you see with Plan Commission review. So the motion before the board this evening is to direct staff and the attorney to prepare final documents granting the requested zoning relief, subject to those conditions, which, as I noted, may be modified slightly in the ordinance that will be coming before the board if some of those conditions are resolved as part of this revised plan set that we've recently received.
Okay, thanks, Emily. Can you go back to the Design Commission requirements? There. So are there 5 of these, or are there more?
There are more. So these first 5 and then these last 4, although the last 2 are standard conditions.
If I look at the first 5, I see the word requirement all through those. A requirement for each of those 5, and then you go to the next page. 6 is a requirement, 7 is a recommendation. And then the last 2 are standard.
So
is everyone in agreement on these? Everybody agrees that those are okay?
Yes.
Is there? Okay. You were going to say something?
I was just going to mention that they may have already made these changes. So.
I see. Okay. And then Plan Commission, same thing? You mentioned that some of these may be already in because they're in for permit already on this. So is everybody on the team happy with these requirements or recommendations?
Yes.
And how will you handle the fence question on the pricing?
We bid it 2 ways. So we bid it with the aluminum extruded fence and then with chain link. So based on both the price, and if it comes back cost prohibitive to do that, or we're still in for Illinois Department of Public Health permitting on the pool, and they will weigh in on a portion of that fence. We have not gotten disposition on that at this point. We've gotten preliminary and are back in for second comments.
So are you comfortable with the way this is worded at the moment here?
Correct.
It gives you enough freedom to do what you need to do?
Correct, it does.
Okay, and staff agrees with all that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wonderful. Anything else from either? If not, we'll go to the board for questions. Trustee Zyck?
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, a couple questions and a comment. First of all, just want to say thank you to the Park District for everything that you do. And in my other life, you were a great partner, especially with the parking along Belmont there. That was going to be a great thing. But one question has to do with the fencing. If they went from the chain link to the ornamental, is there any change in security? Because obviously that's a very sensitive area that you've got right there with the pool itself. If they did go to the ornamental, would there be any difference in the security of people not being able to get in there?
No.
No. Okay. I love simple, straight questions like that, straight answers like that. And then as far as the parking situation, I know there's right there at Belmont and Minor, as you had mentioned, there's only the parking or the only stop sign going north and south there.
That's actually a 4-way.
That's a 4-way stop sign there.
That is a 4-way stop sign there?
Put in the, sorry, when you put in the village, when you guys
If you could,
Tim, come on
just
up.
so the folks, we can get it recorded. And
Sorry, Tim Jelinek. I'm actually on the park board, so congratulations, everybody. When you guys did the makerspace there,
Yep.
you guys worked with the village to get a four-way stop sign there, and I live in that neighborhood, so I just want to say thanks.
Okay.
So that's a four-way stop. So
That's
I
actually
guarantee
kind
that
of the
one.
point I was trying to get to.
Yeah.
And I want to
So-
make sure that we did get that. But this whole thing is changing, and this is a great improvement. I'm looking forward to when this day is done and everything is complete over there. But it was brought up, obviously, by public comments a few times regarding the people rolling through the stop signs, and there's going to be a change there. I would personally like to see us take another look into that, just to see if there is anything that we can do. Obviously, we don't want to slow things down, and we don't want to make it more difficult for people to go around there, but I think it's worth our time to go in there and just make sure that we're doing the right thing there.
Okay. Anyone else on this side? Trustee Shirley?
Yeah, just, it's a wonderful improvement. It looks great. I want to commend everybody for that. As far as the fence, like, what's the difference between price-wise, the engineering and the chain link as far as the aluminum fence? I'm just trying to figure out what we're talking about that's kind of holding up, not putting in the recommended aluminum fence. I'm just curious what the engineer's estimate is for each option.
25 to 30%. I don't have a dollar amount for you, including installation, because I think it may vary based on the installation. That's why we bid it in two directions to see.
Okay, is one more expensive in the long term to maintain? Do we know? I mean,
The chain link would be coated, so largely there's no exterior finish you'd have to worry about. So maintenance, I think, would be negligible. It'd be the same either way to a degree. One would be powder coated and the other one would be, perhaps the same or anodized.
Okay, and then for staff, for Emily, just is the recommendation for the aluminum better looking fence, for lack of a better term, is that just purely aesthetic and kind of matching, or what drives that, or what's behind that?
It is essentially purely aesthetic. So we would like to see it match the fencing that's going to be provided around the splash pad, but also we think it fits with the style of the community center because it's a more traditional style fence. So it is aesthetic, but we think it's a better fit in that location for a few different reasons.
Okay, I just, it just seems like we're not really putting a fine point on what's going to be the make or break that, yes, you put in the more ornamental or not. So, I mean, I'm not going to hold things up, but it just seems like we're not really saying that if it's 25,000 more or if it's 40,000 more that we can't afford it, or I've heard maybe if we get a grant. It just seems like it's kind of nebulous and we're not really putting any specificity to it. So I'm not going to hold it up, but it just, it seems odd. It seems to me like the Park District would probably just put up the chain link without any guidelines or parameters for, what the extra cost is, so.
So Trustee Shirley, that was staff's concern, and the way that the Plan Commission initially worded their recommendation, which was in green, essentially left it up to the Park District to determine whether or not they wanted to put the fence in.
Okay.
And, with all due respect, it's likely they'll say, it's too expensive, we're not going to do it. And so staff is recommending that the language in red be added so that the village has to agree with the Park District that it's too expensive. Again, that's still subjective, and it's maybe not as tight as I think we would all like it to be. The board certainly could place a more restrictive language on that condition, but staff was trying to insert, I guess, the village, give the village ability to weigh in on whether or not we felt it was feasible to install the more decorative fence.
What I will say is I think if the chain link gets damaged, this is your argument you should make. If the chain link gets damaged, it's easier to replace chain link than aluminum ornamental fence. There's one factor perhaps, but otherwise I'm not going to hold it up. I don't need anything more than that. It's a wonderful improvement. I really like it. Thanks.
Trustee LaBedz?
Thank you. Well, thank you for all the work that has been done on this. I know there was many meetings and you got lots of input from the community and the commissions that you've already seen. So really appreciate all the work that you've done. It is a great improvement. I think it'll be a lot of fun when it's done for the community. And I do have a few questions. First, you mentioned on the fence that IDPH has to weigh in on that, and I just wondered why that had to be.
Yeah, IDPH has some specific requirements about the dimensions and parameters to fencing around pool areas. Either fence option is acceptable to IDPH essentially, but if we make a change from what we've submitted in our documentation for review, that will just be something we need to reconfirm with them.
And could take a little longer to get done. The wheels of government, right? Okay, that was a question about that. I definitely want to see, when things are done, a review of the traffic in the area. And yes, I'm aware of the four-way stop sign at the Maker Place area, even though it said two-way here, because it's also flagged so that people are supposed to stop because they weren't used to it. However, I know full well, because I go by there a lot, people don't, and I know that's a concern of the residents, that people blow through stop signs around, and it would be of particular concern, I think, around a very active park like this. So that's why I would definitely want to see, a new study about the usage, the traffic, and that sort of thing. I have a question about number 4 on the, it has to do with the preschool. Number 4 on the recommendations. Just curious, because it says you would provide operations about the drop-off and pickup for the preschool prior to village board hearing. Has that been done, or are you all working on that sort of thing? Because, just because it says before village board, and we're village board.
Great question. Staff did provide that to village staff, so they have our response. It's a rather small preschool program. Again, 20 to 25, dropping off between the hours of 9 and pick up around 2 o'clock. Again, we don't feel it being overly burdensome to the existing traffic that the building sees currently.
Okay, that's great. I just wanted to be sure that it was already all in the works. Because it wasn't part of our packet, so. And then the last thing I want to ask about is bike racks. I know that you have bike racks. Do you have enough bike racks? Because I know that people ride their bikes to this park in the summer. Kids who are allowed to go out on their own ride their bikes. Families ride their bikes. And I just want to be sure that there's sufficient bike racks that people can securely, park their bikes. Because I always worry about theft and that sort of thing. So do you have some input on where all the bike racks are?
Yeah, the plans between all 3 phases have been brought up to village standards for the quantity of bike racks that are required based off the occupancy of the park. We studied each and every one of the recreational amenities that'll be offered there and calculated the occupancy that's anticipated for those, and then calculated the number of bike parking based off village requirements. So that has been provided across all 3 phases, with the bulk of the bike racks being located around the pool. There are, I believe, 6 located in phase 2 adjacent to the ball field, and then a quantity located, two located down by the Northwest Highway, and then additional 2 over on the other side on phase 2 adjacent to Belmont. So that full quantity of village requirements has been met.
Okay, great, because that's going to be busy, I know. And on the skate park, is it going to be something that a variety of, I know this part's already been discussed and everything, but a variety of people of different ages, young kids just starting out with in the skate park, skateboarding, and adults who have been doing it for many years. So does it have a variety of, just out of curiosity, variety of, I don't know, things for them to do?
Yes, the skate park, which is part of phase 1
Yeah.
and not part of today's presentation,
Right.
but it does include a variety of different obstacles. It mainly focuses more on the novice skater, but it does offer some really fun and exciting bowl type features that will appeal to a more advanced crowd as well.
Okay, thank you. Those are the questions I have. Thank you very much. Looking forward to seeing all this completed, as I'm sure you are.
Trustee Dunnington?
Thanks, Mayor. Thank you to the Park District, especially think it was important how many meetings that you had to get the community involved. So thank you very much. I wanted to ask about the concessions. Are the concessions only going to be available when the pool is open, or will they be available for the people at the playground or the skate park to use?
Currently, we will have a window that serves the general park public, so you do not have to be in the pool in order to visit the concession stand. We have not looked at hours of operation that would be. It would coincide with when we have staffing, obviously, and the pool is open.
Mm-hmm. But it's not just for the pool guests?
Correct, it is
Okay,
not.
great.
It is intended to have a window that serves the general public, that you do not have to be within the pool in order to order something.
Great. And I just wanted to make a comment about the pool deck. There was some concerns about the way that it looked, I think, in the design commission. And so my comment is just that I think it would be a really good place to put a mural right there. So hopefully we'll have a new mural ordinance soon, and I think that would look really cool in that area. And then my last thing is actually more just for the village board, in that we all read a lot of concerns about speeding and that Belmont being used as a cut through for people to avoid Arlington Heights Road and Northwest Highway. And we know that pedestrian related crashes are more likely to occur around parks. And so I'm suggesting that the village board adopt a safe park zone ordinance. It's something that the state of Illinois adopted, or it's a statute from 2006. And so that's similar to school zones, where the speed of roadways near parks is lowered to 20 miles per hour, and fines are raised in that area. And so the ordinance would include safety zone signage and pavement markings, high visibility crosswalk markings, and in-street stop for pedestrian signs, which I think is something that you mentioned. Before I've mentioned the Mount Prospect Family Neighborhood Streets program, and they report that a pedestrian hit by a car traveling 20 miles per hour has a 90% survival rate, but that same person hit by a car traveling at 40 miles per hour only has a 25% survival rate. So I think it would be a really good idea for us to lower the speed around the park. And speeding is the biggest detriment of whether a crash results in a serious or fatal injury rather than a minor injury, no injury, or if there's no crash at all. And then I believe the revenue that we would earn from this possible ordinance could pay for other infrastructure improvements in the area around the park, which could include things like a raised crosswalk, a pedestrian village, a refuge island, curb extensions, or speed feedback signs. So I think that it's something that we should consider adopting for areas around parks.
Okay, so Randy and Hart, if trustees wanted to talk about something like that, how would we go about that? I don't want to obviously.
No, I mean, I think we'd want to, I think we'd want to know what the will of the board is. If the board would like staff to explore and research those, such a program, we'd be happy to do so if that's the will of the board.
Okay. Is that something we should do like right now and discuss, or you want to?
I mean, you could, it doesn't have to be a formal vote, but I mean, you could do just a show of hands or heads nodding. If folks are interested in that, then we'll interpret that as to put that in the project queue and something we can do some research and put together for the board for future consideration.
And the point being, it's not something that's going to change anything or hold anything
Correct.
on this petition at this point, right?
Correct.
Now, right? Okay. Well, I guess we'll ask the question. Is it something that we want to have staff look into? Trustee Schwingbeck?
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I don't mind discussing this. The one thing I was gonna ask Emily is when you go back to that, and you brought it up in your presentation with that four-way stop, I did receive, and we all did, an email, and I talked to him this afternoon from that resident that was talking about potentially putting a stop sign there at Wing Street on Belmont.
Correct.
which is only a block down. And I did have a long conversation with him about that because he can walk to the end of the street. It's only 1 block away. But when you really look at that street, it's like every other large intersection in our town. There's people coming down Belmont to avoid that intersection of Arlington Heights Road and Northwest Highway. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to maybe try and control things just a little bit better in the park area, especially when the playground is right there. You've got a small percentage of homes that live, that would be to the west of Rec Park and the south of Minor, but they're using Belmont as a cross street there, and they do know they can walk 1 block up, but it would be nice to try and control speed a little bit on that street and prevent people from using it as a cut-through.
Can we just have a quick show of hands to give staff an idea whether or not this is something we want them to just look into? Any in favor of it, go ahead and raise your hand.
I would be interested.
Okay. It looks like a clear majority.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thanks.
Anything else, Trustee Dunnington?
No, thank you.
Okay, and Trustee Schwingbeck, are you complete? Trustee Santamaria?
Sure, thank you. Thank you so much for all of the work that you've done on this project. I love all of the community input that you received, as well as looking at the design and keeping the historical structure design too. I think it'll look great. My concern is also regarding the traffic, considering a lot of the residents were concerned. And I definitely want to move forward with being able to support the Park District and not holding up this project, but I also don't feel comfortable voting without knowing that we will do something when it comes to the speed, since it's so close to a park.
Okay, so tell us, at this point, do you not want to vote on this motion until we know the answer on this? Or?
No, I think we can vote with a recommendation and/or a requirement that we look at that intersection. That would be.
Okay, gotcha.
And I think based on the support that the board indicated, staff intends to research the notion of this and then bring it back to the board for consideration. I mean, so that's something that we are looking at, but we do want to look at, because it's something that's we'd have to use our home rule powers to do in terms of, are there limitations to this, how it can be enforced. There may be pros and cons to it that we haven't identified, but I mean, we'll identify all that so the board can make a informed decision on it, but we will be bringing this back based on the direction.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Trustee Shirley.
Just so I know what we're talking about, are we talking about what Trustee Dunnington said, establishing a park safety zone around parks that we're gonna look into and discuss, or are we talking about speed limit changes on these specific streets? I'm just trying to get an idea of what are we talking about?
I think if I'm not mistaken, it would be an ordinance that not only pertains to this particular park, but basically all parks in town. If there are streets around them, they would fall into this category of safe streets, safe parks, and there are certain stipulations and rules that would govern, and it will take some time to sort through all that to put together an ordinance to make that happen. And while it might be, a really bright and wonderful thing to do, I think the worry is we certainly don't want to hold up this right now. And it may absolutely happen. It's just a matter of what staff brings back to us to ponder.
So it is the safe parks zone concept?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah. And everything that goes along with it, whether it's markings or limits, speed limits, things like that. It's an official document that exists. Who do we know that operates with that auspice right now?
The city of Chicago does.
City of Chicago does. So it's an existing ordinance now somewhere. Trustee Zyck?
If I could just add on, I think this is a really intriguing idea, and I'm glad you brought it up. I think it also needs to be a holistic approach. Not if we decide that it's not the right thing for the village, I think we also need to also look into the whole area there, just to see if there is anything else that we could do. If we decide not to pass that type of an ordinance, that we're still doing something to see if there's any changes that we need to make.
And if I could, Mayor, what I was going to say is, I want to say that Public Works and Engineering did do a study to look at that intersection. And it was found that at this time, those stop signs are warranted at that location, because there are times when stop signs can actually, they don't necessarily calm traffic. There's a lot of studies that show that people speed up after a stop sign, especially if it's in a location where there's a lot of spots, or they just go around the block and speed somewhere else. And so we've always been very judicious about where we put stop signs. In this case, it wasn't warranted now, but again, with the caveat that if there's an increased vehicular or pedestrian traffic as a result of these improvements, it can be reconsidered. We get a lot of requests for stop signs, as you can imagine, and we try to be very fair at where we put them and where we don't put them. And so we, I guess from a staff perspective, we would recommend that we use the same methodology for establishing where stop signs go as we always have across the community, because it's something that, most folks would like a stop sign in front of their house, and it doesn't always make sense from a holistic traffic management standpoint to do that. I just want to make that comment.
Yeah, I think it's probably unrealistic to think that a stop sign could be at every corner. Anyone else? Trustee Bertucci.
The only other question I have for you folks is there were concerns from residents in reference to lighting and the illumination, and also, this parking deficit. Has that been worked out with residents? Is there residents that are still out there thinking that this is not going to be very good for them? They were at the why is everybody looking at me and keeping? They were at the commission meetings. They've sent us information. Is what's out there?
We've looked at the lighting and addressed that. So Maggie had that in a slide and indicated that it was not leaving the existing space. I have had no conversation with any residents relative to that since the Plan Commission meeting.
Okay.
And parking,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's see if there's anybody from the audience that might be here that would like to make a comment.
Okay, is that it?
That's it.
Okay. I have one question. How is your timing? I mean, there's this little festival that's supposed to be happening over there in about a month or so. How are things going with construction and timing? Somebody?
Yeah, construction won't start until after the
It's
festival,
gonna
so the
start,
plan,
with what you have going on now.
oh. Phase one?
currently phase one, we're going to open the playground, the tennis court, the parking lot. Our grand opening is June 9th. The skate park will not be open until after Frontier Days, but we've been working collaboratively with Frontier Days all the way along and have a good solution for their event that does not impact that in any way. No large scale changes. Everything that needs to get moved, we've found consensus with. So no impact.
And all the work along Northwest Highway where the little car repair dealerships and so on, all that'll be cleaned up and fixed up?
Retention pond work is underway currently. Right now, we're undercutting the tennis court, and that paving work will go on. And then as the retention ponds finish up, that will be landscaped prior to Frontier Days.
Wow, that's a big undertaking. Okay, is there any, you guys go ahead and have a seat. Is there anyone from the audience that wishes to address this particular project? I see two hands. One of you come on up, introduce yourself, and then the next one can be ready to go right away. And we have this fun little game here called Be Done in 3 Minutes and make everybody happy.
My name's Barbara Ottolino. I live at 15 South Belmont, and I'm very happy to see that you're interested in addressing the traffic problems. We have 4 families with 8 children under the age of 10 on Belmont. We have a number of people crossing at Haddow on Minor. I think you're well aware of the traffic problems. That's what I came to talk about tonight. So I'm not going to go over that since I think you've voiced a lot of interest. We were encouraged by the Plan Commission to come and let you know that we're very concerned as parking will spill onto Belmont, and there will be cars parked along the east side of Belmont. Any children coming between those cars will be less visible. That's something to be very aware of. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for coming out tonight. Sir?
Hello, my name is Skip Adelino. I live at 15 South Belmont. My concern too is with the traffic and the speed of traffic and especially around rush hour, the cut through traffic. I think if you put a stop sign at Wing, it probably wouldn't be very effective because it is only a block down and there is a lot of time to speed up between Wing and Northwest Highway, where most of those children that my wife talked about live within that little stretch. Those families live between Wing and Northwest Highway on the west side of the street. Those children are all eager to use the park that's going to open, and they will be crossing that street, and they probably won't be going down the Wing to do it. I was wondering if, you couldn't put a speed bump in there. Same thing, people will speed up and make up their time after a traffic control device. What about something like a camera automated ticketing thing where people speed through? An officer wouldn't have to take his time from being in another part of the beat. The camera will take a picture of the speeding car and issue a ticket, and after a while, people will stop speeding down Belmont because they will be getting enough tickets in the mail telling them that they've done something wrong. I was just wondering if something like that is possible. And to thank you and to congratulate all of you on your new positions.
Thank you for coming tonight. Appreciate it. I'm sure staff can look into those things and let us know if that's possible. Anyone else from the audience tonight? Okay, going back to the board. Any further discussions from the board? Anyone? Trustee LaBedz.
I have a question, and then I'd be happy to make the motion.
Please do.
Speaking of parking along Minor, can you, staff just check at Douglas and Minor over there by the American Legion Hall and see how close to the intersection people are parking? I mean, that's sometimes a difficult intersection if cars are parked too close. And I really haven't paid attention myself to any signage as far as, no parking from here to corner, but that might be something to take a look at.
And Trustee LaBedz, we will definitely look into it and make sure that it's meeting standards. I suspect it's an existing condition that hasn't been looked at in many, many years, but I'm looking at an aerial photograph, and the parking more or less goes right up to the sidewalk. So it could be while we're looking at this overall plan, it's probably a good time to take a look at that. So that's a good suggestion.
Yes, I would appreciate that. Thank you, and I'll make the motion.
Please do.
I move to direct staff and the village attorney to prepare final documents granting the zoning relief requested and subject to the recommended conditions, all as set forth in the agenda materials for tonight's board meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Trustee LaBedz, second by Trustee Schwingbeck. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Trustee LaBedz?
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck?
Yes.
Trustee Santa Maria?
Yes.
Trustee Bertucci?
Yes.
Trustee Shirley?
Yes.
Trustee Zyck?
Yes.
Trustee Dunnington?
Yes.
Trustee Manganaro?
Yes.
President Tinaglia?
Yes. Okay, congratulations to you guys. I hope you have a wonderful time finishing things up over there. When will we see you again?
2 weeks
That quickly?
or May.
For the ordinance.
Yep, okay. All right, wonderful.
I'm in that range.
Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Anything else, Randy? Anything from the village manager's office?
No, sir.
Okay, so then I think all we have left is a motion to adjourn. Am I correct? Anyone?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
By Trustee Bertucci, seconded by Trustee LaBedz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We are adjourned.